I've been thinking about this. There's something that's been going on for centuries. At one point, we had all of these great conquerors. Alexander the Great, Catherine the Great, and Peter the Great, and Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, Julius Caesar. He kicked some serious Alright, in 444, maybe 445, I don't know if I've seen both dates, who knows. Attila's brother died. And at this point, Attila was the supreme ruler of the Hun Empire. But let's be real, okay? Died is a very nice way of putting it. According to accounts, Attila brutally murdered his brother, Bleda, so that he could be the solo ruler. Nice guy, right? Love it. So, being the sole ruler of the Huns, he was weirdly humble. He almost had this one poet who had compared him to a god. He almost had him killed. See, I wouldn't know how to handle this guy. I'd be terrified of him. I'd want to use flattery to get on his good side, but I wouldn't want to be too flattering because he'd kill me. So what does one do with this? And I wonder what kind of personality disorder would Attila be diagnosed with if he was alive today, because everybody's diagnosed with some kind of personality disorder today. Attila believed at one point that he found the sword of God with great power. It was a sword that was previously partially buried, and that it was his destiny to conquer the entire world. By the middle of the 5th century, the Huns had complete control of the Balkans and a vast area to the east and south of the Danube. The Romans were absolutely terrified of Attila. In 450 AD, this lady, I think it's pronounced Honoria, but it's spelled like Honoria. She was the sister of Valentinian III, the emperor of the Western Roman Empire. She was under a type of house arrest after being caught in a kind of sexual scandal. She was married off to someone that she absolutely did not want to be married to. She asked Attila to help her out of this predicament, asked him if he would marry her. He asked Valentinian for her hand, but he refused, sending Attila gifts instead to try to appease him. Attila was demanding and threatening to get gifts from terrified, shaken ambassadors in return. In 450 AD, Attila faced Aetius in battle. Here is where we get to this really big battle. It was actually the first major setback for Attila. This was the Battle of the Catalaunian Plains. Attila announced that he was launching a war against the Huns' enemy, the Visigoths. Now, who are the Visigoths? They were a Germanic people, or tribal groups who lived in Europe in the classical age between the 8th century BC and the 5th century AD. They lived under the rule of a king in the Roman Empire. The Visigoths were in Gaul. Remember with Julius Caesar? Gaul, major battle zone, which according to the Romans was part of the Roman Empire. And the Romans did not want to lose their precious Gaul to the Huns. Aetius didn't have any kind of like military strength to really face Attila alone. His only hope was to get the Visigoths to kind of, unite with the Romans against the Huns. Kind of convince them, hey, why don't you guys just set your differences aside and become friends? Attila invaded Gaul. He crossed the Rhine in 451 AD. Once he reached a place called the Catalaunian Plains, he had quite a bit of difficulty organizing his huge multi-tribal army. Tons of cultures, very, very difficult to unify. The Romans and the Visigoths at this point put up quite the fight. There were lots of losses on both sides. Attila suffered his first major setback. Both sides withdrew after getting their butts kicked. This includes the Huns as well as the Visigoths. Now, getting back to Honoria, remember her? Attila demanded that Valentinian release her and give up half of Italy as her dowry. Valentinian tried to call Attila's bluff, and that set Attila and his army in motion. Aetius suggested that Valentinian might, try to, maybe, abandon Italy, maybe move the capital to Gaul, and Valentinian said, nah. He fled to Rome, prayed hard to the gods. Attila kicked northern Italy's butt, lots of death. Valentinian and Aetius basically were in a position to beg Attila for peace. The timing was good. Since Attila's army was suffering from plague, they really weren't in the best of shape. They were also having difficulty with the terrain of Italy. So, Attila agreed to withdraw from Italy. He honestly didn't want to destroy Rome, even though he wasn't a fan of Rome, and that's because Rome was a huge source of wealth and power. Let's fast forward to 452 AD. Attila returned to his homeland. He, now in his mid-50s, married in 453 AD, and this was the beginning of the end for Attila. He died on his wedding night. Attila suffered a hemorrhage of the nose after eating and drinking. One could argue having too much fun because this was his demise. He was buried somewhere, some river washed over his grave. Nobody knows where he's buried.
Whatever happened to Aetius?
Didn't end well for him because he got into it with Valentinian and he got killed. But there's a thing called karma. Valentinian got his butt kicked by Aetius's bodyguards. And that was pretty much it for the Western Roman Empire. Some people claim that Honoria was responsible for the demise of the...
because she got Attila going.
On the other hand, I believe that the scholars are wrong who are painting Honoria to have so much power over the Western Roman Empire. I mean, here's the thing. Attila was showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. He had his plans. He was going to keep doing what he was doing his whole life: pillage, destroy, kill, or collect a lot of wealth. Rinse, wash, repeat. That's all this guy wanted to do. And then nature stepped in when he had his hemorrhage on his wedding night. And that was it. But if that didn't happen, the world could be a very different place today. We'd be doing everything on horses. I mean, everything.
It's already centered around horses' asses.
Shut up, Ulf! This is my video!
After Attila, what happened to the Huns?
They pretty much petered out and collapsed.
So his sons didn't really have it.
No, they didn't have it, and it just didn't end well for the Huns.